Hello everyone and welcome to a video tutorial by therethink.com. This is Denny here and I'm going to be talking today about billing faster for mental health insurance claims. So this information is going to be more information for the normal private practice therapist who is submitting claims on their own, maybe electronically and through paper claims. There's just some best practices that are going to make it a lot faster and prevent problems for you in the future because you're following these best practices. So let's dive right into it. We have 3 best practices in terms of what to do, some hiccups to avoid, and how to problem solve, and just a link to the actual video here that we're recording right now. So there are 3 best practices, and of the 3, one of them is the most important, and that's pre-verifying eligibility and benefits for new patients for their mental health coverage. The other 2 are also important, but if you did that one, you'd be set. The second one is photocopying everything, and there's a tip for that, and then creating a call log and having a reference ID for everything you do. So we have a whole guide at therethink.com/never-get-denied-claims, never get denied claims. That teaches you how to actually do the calls along with a script. But the basics are that you want to prepare all your information. So that's your information of your MPI number, tax ID, social security address, everything that you have registered for that insurance company, and the information for the new patient in terms of their address, date of birth, subscriber ID, full first and last name, and all the insurance and insured person's information as well. Prepare all of that. You go ahead and call up the insurance company and use the tips that we have at the end of the video to skip all of the lines and just talk directly to a representative. Make sure that you verify your information with your representative. So if you're calling Cigna, you want to tell them the address that you have on file, that you're an in-network provider, and have them verify that that information is correct, so that when you're doing your benefits check for your new patient, they have you in their system. And you can reference this later if there's an issue. And then you want to actually ask about the patient's benefits, so using their subscriber information, calling, and there's a number of questions that you want to ask in terms of what you need to make sure you're charging them for, and if there's an outstanding deductible and things like that. Again, covered in the guide. Check out the written guide for an actual written script. And then you want to finally make sure that you know where you're filing the claims to. Okay, so this is again for a new patient, so you don't need to do this every time. You just want to make sure that you have all of the right information set from the get-go for when you're onboarding a new patient. That's why billing companies will probably charge you money per new patient that you onboard. It's because it's kind of a bit of a process. And then finally, you want to get a reference ID for the actual call that took place, and you'll insert that into a call log, and what that will do is keep both you and the insurance company accountable if there are any issues in the future. Go ahead and just check out the guide. Again, it's all written out for you right there. Okay, so photocopy everything. What the most important part about this is just that you have a backup that you can verify, and don't trust handwriting and people writing things down. People will make mistakes doing that. Have a photocopy of the subscriber ID information, and use that when you're filing your claims and updating your entries for your patients in your EMH record software. So you want to make sure that you get photocopies of insurance cards, demographic information, so their address, all that stuff, as well as EOBs. Those are the explanation of the benefits that you receive in the mail from insurance companies, all of the claims that you filed via paper. So those are things that you can't actually manually go online and look up again. And then all checks that you've received as well. And just use your smartphone to do it. Pretty simple, no big deal. If you don't have a smartphone, then go ahead and use a scanner or a photocopier. But make sure you record all this information. It's really important to do. Just in case there's any hiccup or anything goes wrong, it's really good to be able to reference the original documentation. And finally, just a small note, make sure you don't have photo sharing or public albums set up on your smartphone. Your call log is pretty straightforward. Just make a spreadsheet. You can do that in Google Docs for free. You just want your date, the company that you're calling, so Cigna, and the number that you're calling, which is actually very important. The time you called, the first name of the representative that you're talking to, notes about the call. So there was a mistake with Magellan. We refiled on this date following, claims ID changed to following blah, blah, blah. And make sure you're taking notes for the calls. And again, this kind of stinks, I know. That's why companies do it for you folks. But it's really good to have all this information saved in one place so that if there is an issue in the future, it's no big deal. And the other benefit of this is that you're getting paid to do this, basically. So think of it kind of like your job. And then the actual call reference ID number. So you always ask at the end of the phone call with the representative, hey, can I get a reference ID number for this phone call? And they will give you a long string of letters and numbers. Have them repeat it back to them and make sure that it's right. And that will keep them and yourselves very accountable in the future for your claims. So these are some hiccups that we see fairly regularly that are just kind of quirky, and they can cause a lot of problems without realizing why. The first one is always make sure that your provider information matches the insurance information for that insurance company. So you always want to make sure that your address is the same address and with the same apartment number and the same zip code, and that you don't register for the insurance company with your home office address and then file claims and try to get reimbursed off of a different address than what you have in their index in their database. So always make sure that your information matches their information exactly, and fix any issues with that. And what you should do is on that pre-verification call, when you call and make sure that you're in network, just verify your address information so that you know you're filing from the right address. Another common kind of weird issue is folks that have insurance that have been subcontracted to other mental health companies or insurance companies that specialize in mental health. And the only thing you can really do in these instances is just make sure that you're very clear when they transfer you on the phone where you're going and what company you're coming from and the phone numbers for each. And that will make it a little bit easier to sort out where you're getting transferred to and the kind of health benefits that the person will have. And in most of those cases, usually the people that have subcontracted out will have fairly good mental health insurance as a result, but it does depend. And problem solving those claims, again, you can reach out to a billing specialist or another colleague or someone like that to try to help out with that stuff. They might know more about the insurance landscape in your specific region and some of these kind of weird, quirky little issues than you might originally. So good to ask about those. And then the final thing is just following up with new patients when you file claims for them. So it's kind of a black box after you send a claim over until you actually get an EOB back. And if you do electronically, it's actually not nearly as much of a black box, so that's great. But you want to make sure that after you file a claim, you call or use the internet web portal that they have provided you to check and make sure the claim has been successfully generated and is being paid within 3 business weeks. So always follow up with the first and second claims that you file. Usually they're going to have different CPT codes, intake versus a normal session code. And so just make sure that you do that due diligence each time after a new patient and see a new patient as an investment in an easier future in terms of billing. Because ultimately, if you don't do this right, you could just not get paid, or you could get paid in full, but it's so much of more of a headache after you've already filed and billed and didn't realize that you weren't being billed in time, and all these sorts of issues that can result from just not doing follow-up. So be diligent at the forefront of the new patient, seeing new patients, and it'll reward you in the end. We have part of that guide is a part kind of just teaching you folks how to skip insurance company automated system, phone call systems. All you really need to do is just wait until you get to the right actual place. So it's going to be claims, or it's going to be authorizations, or it's going to be eligibility and benefits. For most of these insurance companies, they'll have a specific menu option for that. Get to that point, then you just wait and do nothing, or you type 0, or you wait and then just start saying representative or agent or operator or customer service. Representative works really well, and most of them will just immediately get you transferred to a human being. And it's much better to do that way, because then you get the reference ID, you get the accountability, and you feel very confident that you're filing your claims correctly. So always good to have a person to actually talk to, and getting to that point on the phone usually only takes about 10 minutes max. So if it's longer, I would just call back later. Okay, and then the last part is just going to be going through appeals for refiling claims and referencing your phone call IDs. It's a fairly straightforward process. Most insurance companies will just tell you over the phone what you need to do. Most of the time, it just involves resubmitting the claims, and they'll resubmit the claims on the phone for you immediately. If you do need to send in a written appeal because something has happened, they'll give you the information there. And again, all that information is found in that guide. So go ahead and just click on the link or here, and it'll get you to the right guide. If you folks found this useful, please go ahead and share it. Share with someone who you think would benefit from it specifically, not just randomly. But please do let someone who you think would find this information valuable, let them know about it. And you can also tweet us if you want. And for more private practice business guides, check out therathink.com. We're updating our content regularly with therapist interviews about their private practice, what's going well, what they've worked on in the past that has improved, what they're still struggling with, as well as a number of specific guides on online marketing, offline marketing, billing, credentialing, getting new clients, on everything. So check us out, therathink.com. And until then, thanks, guys.